Well, good morning, church family. It's 2 days removed from Easter. I wanted to mention something to you this morning as I was reading through 1 Corinthians. Our students, middle school and high school students, we've been reading through the New Testament during our quarantine break and reading through 1 Corinthians. And I was reminded by Paul the necessity of sharing the gospel. From our Easter message, we 2 points, right? One point is that the gospel needs to be shared. We need to share the gospel. Paul, when he went to Corinth on his second missionary journey, he shared what was of utmost importance. And we need to do the same. We need to share the gospel. And the second point was, when we do share, we need to make sure we share not only the crucifixion of Christ, we made atonement for sin, but the resurrection as well. That's part of the gospel that's really, really important. And so as I was reading in 1 Corinthians, I want to read this to you, verse 14 through 17. At this particular place in the text, chapter 1, Paul is dealing with divisions in the church. And some were saying, well, I follow Apollos, I follow Peter, I follow Paul. And Paul says, well, I'm glad I didn't baptize any of you. And he says, well, I did baptize a few of you. He says in verse 17, for Christ did not send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, and not with words of eloquent wisdom, lest the cross of Christ be emptied of its power. And then over in chapter 2, just one chapter over, he says, and when I came to you, brothers, I did not come proclaiming to you the testimony of God with lofty speech or wisdom, for I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified, and I was with you in weakness and in fear and much trembling. And my speech and my message were not in plausible words of wisdom, but in a demonstration of the Spirit and of power, so that your faith might not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So Paul, when he went to Corinth on his second missionary journey, he's saying here, and it's not false humility. He's being really honest. He's inspired by the Holy Spirit, writing these words. When he went there, he was fearful, and he didn't speak eloquently, and but when he was there, what was the result of him sharing the simple gospel message? The church was born. People were saved. So just a reminder for us as a church, we need to share the gospel, and we need to be practicing how to share. And that's part of my job as a pastor, is to equip our church to know how to share the gospel. We need to practice that. We need to be prepared at all times to give a reason for the hope that we have. But don't be so afraid of messing up, not saying exactly the right thing. I think most importantly, we need to share the gospel. We need to share it clearly, because the gospel is the power of God. It's how people are saved. So just a reminder this morning to share the gospel. Look for opportunities to share, asking the Lord for opportunities to share with those that you know need to hear it. So hope you have a great week. Grace to you.